What's up? What's up? It's the Third Down Conversation, your place for sports and entertainment. I am D Turnipseed, and on today's episode, I'm going to preview the Final Four. I will break down Auburn versus Florida, followed by Houston versus Duke. And then I will give you my predictions of who I think wins each game. Let's jump in. The Final Four is set. My Auburn Tigers are set to play the Florida Gators. The Duke Blue Devils are set to play the Houston Cougars. For my Tigers, this is their second Final Four in 6 years. Job well done, Bruce. Job well done. The first matchup I will break down will be Auburn versus Florida. These two SEC teams played earlier in the season. Florida won the first matchup 90-81. That final score seems like it was a close game. But in fact, Florida pretty much controlled that game from tip. My Tigers jumped out to an early 15-5 lead. But by halftime, Florida led by 10. Early in the second half, Florida led by 20. Midway through the second half, my Tigers got back in it a little bit, got the lead down to like 9. However, Florida hits a big three, sucks all of the momentum out of the jungle, pushes the lead back to 12, and that was pretty much a ball game. Florida won that game in 3 areas: 3-point shooting, free throws, and fast break points. In the first half, Florida made 7 threes. They shot 13 and made 7 threes. That's well over 50%. For the game, they missed 3 free throws, while Auburn, they missed 9. And ironically, they lost by 9. Florida outscored Auburn in fast break points 14-3. Those 3 areas lost the Tigers that game in the jungle. So why should Auburn be optimistic going into this rematch? Well, here's some bright points. In the second half, Auburn's defense on 3-pointers tightened up. Florida was 6 of 20 from 3 in the second half. That's 30%. Auburn was able to tie Florida in the rebounding game, which, look, that's big for Auburn. That's really big because Florida's bigs are athletic and they're big. But Auburn was able to tie them in rebounds. And in fact, Auburn had more offensive rebounds than Florida. And it's not the first shot that beats you. It's the second shot that beats you. Lastly, Auburn outscored Florida in the paint 38-30. Again, that's massive for Auburn, especially with the bigs that Florida has. Now, I don't think the previous matchup will have much impact on the matchup on Saturday. If I could pull anything from the previous matchup, it would be I'd rather be the team that lost versus the team that won. That may sound a little crazy, but if you're the team that won, usually you won't change much of your game plan. You might tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, you're going to go with that game plan because, well, it worked. But the team that lost, they're going to come into that game with a completely different game plan, a completely different method of attack. And they know more than likely your game plan is going to be pretty much similar to what you did the last game. I mean, why would you change any of it? Now, the X factor for Auburn will be CBM, Chad Baker, Nazara. He's been solid for Auburn during the tournament. He's been rebounding. He's been, dishing out assists. He's playing solid defense. However, in Auburn's last 7 games, he's only gotten his average once. That has to change. If CBM can score 12 to 15 points, plus his normal assists, his normal rebounds, his normal defense, that will greatly increase Auburn's chances. Broom's health is a concern. He'll probably be about 70%. Auburn will need to replicate their rebounding and their defense from the second half to have any shot against Florida. The X factor for Florida is going to be Elijah Martin. He didn't play the first game, but Elijah Martin is Florida's version of CBM, Chad Baker for Florida. He does some of everything. Great defender. He rebounds well. He can shoot the three. He can get to the basket. He's their X factor. And if he can do similar things that I'm asking CBM to do, well, my Tigers got an uphill battle. If you guys are enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Remember, shows will drop every week and can be found anywhere you find podcasts. Also, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter at The Third Down Conversation. Let's jump back into the show. Now let's take a look at the second matchup. Houston versus Duke. First, I think Duke is a little overvalued by the national media. Duke runs through the ACC tournament without flag for the latter part of that tournament, and the national media is in awe. And everybody forgets that the ACC was weak this season. They run through Baylor. And people are like, Baylor's a good team. They have a lottery pick on their team. And they forget that Baylor was a middle of the pack Big 12 team. Finished 7th, actually. They run through Bama. But styles make fights. Bama didn't match up well with Duke. However, Grant Nelson locked up Flag. In fact, Nelson met Flag at the rim. Block party. And they say white man can't jump. So if Nelson can lock him up, meaning Flag, I know Houston can. Duke hasn't played a team this good on defense since they played Auburn back in December. In fact, they've played 3 top 20 defenses, and they are 1-2 in those games. Houston is the better defensive team, and they shoot the 3 ball better. This matchup will be closer than what the experts think. Duke will struggle with the pressure and the physicality that Houston will present. Houston also has 4 guys that are averaging double figures, while Duke only has 3. So what are the X factors for this game? Unlike Florida and Auburn, where I went with players, for this game, I think it's going to come down to rebounding for Houston. Their tallest player is 6'8", while Duke has a legit 7-footer who is athletic and is quick as far as jumping off the floor. So Houston's going to have to rebound, and they're going to have to win that battle, or at worst, tie it with Duke. The next thing is Houston's going to have to hunt Knipple on defense. I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but I think that's the guy that teams need to attack on defense. Make him work on defense. Get him tired. When you're tired and you're trying to shoot, especially threes, the first thing that goes are your legs. Houston has to hunt him, nipple on defense. The X factors for Duke, again, is the rebounding. They've got to win that rebounding battle. Oftentimes in basketball, winning and losing comes down to rebounding and defense. They've also got to run Houston off that three-point line and funnel their guards to the rim with that big 7-footer down there just blocking everything, tattooing everything to the backboard. They should have a similar plan they had against Alabama. Run them off the three-point line, force them to go to the basket, tattooed off the backboard. If Duke can do those things, this game won't be close. In fact, it could get ugly. If you guys are enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Remember, shows will drop every week and can be found anywhere you find podcasts. Also, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter at The Third Down Conversation. Let's jump back into the show. So what are my predictions for each matchup? Let's start with Auburn and Florida. Sports media has said that Auburn hasn't played a complete game. I disagree with that. Have they played a flawless game? No. But it's hard to say they haven't played a complete game when they were the only team prior to Sunday that had beaten all their tournament opponents by double digits. And if Broome doesn't get hurt, they beat Michigan State by double digits. I also think that Auburn will come in with a new plan of attack, while Florida's attack won't change much. Now I'm about to say something that may sound crazy. I don't think Auburn's offensive game plan should be Janai-centric against Florida. Obviously, Janai's right elbow is banged up. He's probably going to lean heavily on just his left hand. I don't think he's going to use his right hand much at all. That limits his offensive skill for this game. I think this game is going to come down to the guards. I think Auburn's offensive plan should be to get Tahad, CBM, Miles Kelly, and Denver Jones going. I'm also saying this because I believe that Florida's bigs can neutralize Janai. Broome usually struggles with athletic bigs, and Florida got like 3 of them. So instead of force feeding Broome, get the guards going. Auburn has to win the guard matchup to win this game. If you can get Tahad, Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, and CBM going and run plays and sets for them, I think Auburn wins. I'm not saying don't use Janai at all. I'm not saying you shouldn't run your offense through Janai, meaning give him his touches, but it can't be Janai-centric. Lastly, I just don't think Florida can beat Auburn twice. I just don't believe it. So, Walter Clayton, Walter Payton, the entire city of Dayton. Tigers by 5. Bet the money line. Houston versus Duke. I've just got a weird feeling that Houston's going to cause problems for Duke. I think they will be able to disrupt the flow of Duke's offense and make life tough on Flag. Also, the national media hyping Duke gives Houston extra motivation and puts all the pressure on Duke. I like Houston in a close one. The under for this game is 136.5. That's a really good bet. If I was you, I'd take it. This has been the Third Down Conversation. I am D Turnipseed. Jesus loves you, and I'm out. Peace.